How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to another NHL 23 career simulation. Today, going through the career of the second overall pick in the 2023 NHL Draft, Leo Carlsson. Leo Carlsson was a bit of a surprise at number 2, as many people thought Adam Fantilli would be going to the Ducks. We already did his simulation with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but Carlsson ended up going at number 2, an extremely talented playmaking centerman with great two-way ability, very high hockey IQ, and the Ducks are very happy to have him in their organization. He's been playing in Europe for 4 years now, 2 years in the SHL's Junior League, and then 2 years in the SHL playing against men out there. He's just 18 years of age. He scored 9 points in 35 games in his first year in the SHL, and most recently 25 points in 44 games in the SHL. Likely one more year in the SHL until he makes the jump to the NHL, but when he does, he will be surrounded by an incredible cast that includes Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, Troy Terry, Jamie Drysdale, and so on and so forth. So I'm very excited to see how Carlsson does with the Ducks in this NHL 23 sim. The simulation will have Leo Carlsson starting off as a 77 overall with medium elite potential. All of his attributes between 2 and 3.5 stars. So as you can see, 85 offensive awareness, 85 passing, 83 defensive awareness. A very well-rounded player who should develop very nicely in the Ducks organization, which he will be entering once we manipulate the 2023 NHL Draft. Never easy to get the right player on the right team, but I will do my best. After that, he'll likely spend a season in the AHL, but as we know in the real world, he'd likely be back in the SHL, and we will go from there. If it's the first time that you're watching a career sim here on the channel, essentially what we'll be doing is taking control of a totally separate team, and then with a hands-off approach, watch Carlsson's career develop. Does he stay in Anaheim? Does he go elsewhere? Does he win Stanley Cups with this young core in Anaheim? Does he win any individual awards? Does he set any franchise records? We'll be keeping note of all of those things, and we've done it already many times in the past. If you want to see some other NHL career simulations, check out the playlist here in the top right corner, the card that's going to come up. We have a ton already: Slavkovsky, Nemec, Wright, Bedard, Reinbacher. We have a ton that have already been done, so if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out the playlist. And you know what, while you're at it, check out the channel. We do career simulations, NHL 23 franchise mode, and much more. So if you enjoy it, I'm sure that you enjoy everything else we do. We'd love to have you join the team. Subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to leave a like, as these videos always take a good 20+ hours to make in the slow EA simulation. So I invite you to sit back, relax, leave a comment with whose career you want to see simulated next, and enjoy the career of Leo Carlsson. And after a ton of headaches, as per usual, the Anaheim Ducks, with the 5th overall selection, changing the timeline a little bit here in the 2023 draft, go ahead and select Leo Carlsson, 77 overall, medium elite, as we left him up. Send it zone ability with the all alone, wheels, quick draw, and tape-to-tape superstar abilities. I'm sure that his attributes will change a little bit headed into the 2023-24 season, but as I mentioned earlier, unlikely that he cracks the team just yet. So if he does, great. If not, we'll move ahead to his rookie season, which could be a couple years from now. But we'll see what ends up happening. Welcome Leo to the Ducks organization. Don't worry about Reinbacher here to the Ducks. I just had to rearrange a few things so that Carlsson would end up going to Anaheim. It was a bit of a headache, but Bedard's on the Blackhawks. Michkov, unfortunately, on the Sharks. I'll trade Reinbacher to the Canadiens, trying my best to make the league as accurate as it'll be in the real world, but please remember to take everything with that massive grain of EA salt. Year number 1, ladies and gentlemen, and Leo Carlsson finds himself centering the top line of the San Diego Gulls, the Anaheim Ducks AHL affiliate farm team. Of course, as we know in the real world, he would likely be back playing in the SHL in Europe, but since that can't happen here in the game, he is sent down to the AHL system. All we know is that year number 1 is a non-NHL year, but regardless, he'll still have a good season with Benoit Olivier Giroux on his left and Jacob Perreault on his right. He's a 77 overall. He has grown to 6'4". He's put on almost 10 pounds, so it's been a good off season. I don't think many of his attributes have changed too much, if even at all, but we'll see after a full AHL season how he looks, and hopefully, fingers crossed, for an NHL debut in year number 2. Down in the AHL in year number 1, Carlsson and the Gulls finished 5th best in the AHL with a very impressive 42, 22, and 7 record. Leo Carlsson's playmaking ability was on display, as through the full 71-game season, he scored 10 goals and 50 assists for a 60-point season. In the postseason, Carlsson and the Gulls took down the Coyotes farm team in round number 1 in 5 games, but fell in round number 2 in 6 games to the Canucks farm team. We can't see Carlsson scoring in relation to his teammates because the AI GM of the Ducks called him up, but as we can see here, through those 11 games, Carlsson was point per game, registering 2 goals and 9 assists for 11 points. And by the way, I also realized that the AHL season is 72 games. I took those stats a bit too early. He scored 10 goals and 52 assists for 62 points down in the AHL. Those 62 points were also good enough to win Carlsson the Red Garrett Memorial Award, which is the AHL equivalent of the Calder Trophy given to the league's most outstanding rookie. Through his first year in the Ducks organization, Carlsson is now up to an 80 overall, listed as a depth forward. His puck skills are up to 4 stars. I'm sure that he will see more growth over the offseason and make a push for a full-time spot in the NHL come year number 2. Year number 2, Leo Carlsson's rookie season in the NHL. He is centering the second line here in Anaheim with Mason McTavish on his left and Frankie Vetrano on his right. Carlsson now up to an 81 overall, listed as a third line scoring forward. His puck skills are at 4 stars with the 89 passing, but everything else is between 2.5 and 3.5 stars, so we'll see those develop as time goes on. He's going to be entering the first year of his entry-level contract, since the first year in the AHL didn't really count. He'd really be in Europe, but don't worry about that. He has a great cast around him. Just to quickly show you the team for this first season, I won't do this every year. Kaloran, Zegras, Terry on the first line. We see Lundstrom on the fourth line there. Some other players who have been signed as the years have gone on. Cam Fowler, Jamie Drysdale, Shattenkirk is back here in Anaheim as well. John Gibson still between the pipes. And then over on the power play, Carlsson is also playing on the first unit. So that should be good for his growth, for his ice time, for his production, all that good stuff. So year number 2 in the Ducks organization, but year number 1 in Anaheim. Let's see if Carlsson can go from winning the AHL Rookie of the Year award to the NHL Rookie of the Year award. The youth movement is alive and well in Anaheim as the Ducks finish 5th best in the NHL in 2025 to make the postseason with a record of 48, 29, and 5. Leo Carlsson had a strong rookie season as he registered 59 points in a full 82-game campaign, 21 goals and 38 assists from the young centerman. He was a -5, only took 2 minor penalties, had 14 power play points, and was averaging 16.55 of ice time per night, headed into his first postseason berth. Those 59 points were also good enough to have Carlsson finish 3rd in the league for rookie scoring. In the postseason, Carlsson and the Ducks had a tough first-round matchup as they fell in 7 games to the eventual Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers, and they themselves ended up losing in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final to the Montreal Canadiens of all teams. Kirby Dach winning the Conn Smythe. Congrats to the Canadiens here in 2025. Through those 7 games, Carlsson went point per game, leading the team with his line mate Mason McTavish. 2 goals and 5 assists for 7 in 7 from Carlsson. He was a +3, no penalties, somehow didn't win the Lady Byng, and was also logging 17.53 of ice time per night. Not really even close to being among the team leaders, so great to see from Carlsson, who has now grown to an 83 overall headed into his sophomore season. 5-star puck skills, 92 passing, an extremely successful rookie season, and hopefully much more to come. Year number 3, Leo Carlsson's sophomore season in the NHL, and he has grown to an 87 overall at 20 years of age. He is listed as a second-line forward, and that's where he's playing, with Alex Kaloran on his left and Mason McTavish on his right. A great top 6 here in Anaheim. Carlsson's puck skills up to 5 stars, and everything else between 3.5 and 4.5 stars. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can do to build off his 59-point rookie season and see if the Ducks can have a further push than just the first round here in 2025-26. Ooh my! In year number 3, Carlsson and the Ducks win the Western Conference and finish 2nd in the NHL with 115 points. 52, 19, and 11 was their record, and those 52 wins are the 2nd most in franchise history. Carlsson had a great sophomore season as he played in 77 out of 82 games, going just above point per game, 28 goals and 50 assists from the young Swede. He was a +36, had 44 penalty minutes after just 4 last season. Yes, he was furious that he wasn't going to be recognized for the Lady Byng and said, forget it. He shot at 16.7%, had 18 power play points, and was only logging 16.08 of ice time per night. Wow! He and McTavish once again getting it done with limited minutes headed into the postseason. In the postseason, the Ducks had a great run as they took down the Kings in 7 in round number 1, the Flames in 6 in round number 2, but then fell in 5 to the Blackhawks in round number 3, and the Hawks went on to lose in the Stanley Cup final to the Maple Leafs. So back-to-back seasons now of the Ducks losing to the Western Conference champion, but this was their furthest run since losing in the conference final back in 2017. In those 18 games, Leo Carlsson slowed down a little bit as he scored 2 goals and 11 assists for 13 points. He was a -1, shooting at 6.7%, way less than what he was shooting at in the regular season, like 10% less, and was doing it while logging just 16 minutes of ice time per night. So heading into his 3rd season in the NHL, will be the final year of his entry-level contract. He is now at an 88 overall with 97 passing, 5-star puck skills, everything else between 3.5 and 4.5 stars. But he's got to get more ice time if he continues to do what he's been doing in under 17 minutes per night. Headed into year number 4, that will be the hope. Headed into year number 4, the Ducks just keep getting stronger. Leo Carlsson is now up to an 88 overall. The first line in Anaheim is now Jack Eichel, Trevor Zegras, and Troy Terry, as Eichel's contract does come to an end in 2026, so I don't know. McTavish still on the second line with Carlsson, and Connor Brown at 86 overall on the right. Jaden Schwartz down there on the third line. Taylor Hall on the fourth line. Just a quick update here. Mintyukov, Pietrangelo, Drysdale, Zellweger. How about this for a team in Anaheim? John Gibson. This is a wagon, and after winning the West last year, you have to think that they're favorites to do it again. Carlsson is now listed as a first-line forward with his 88 overall status, 5-star puck skills and senses, with everything else between 4 and 4.5 stars. He went point per game plus last season. Let's see if he can do it again, and maybe even crack triple digits on an incredible squad. In year number 4, the Ducks didn't win the Western Conference, but they did win the Pacific Division, surprisingly by finishing 13th in the NHL with a record of 44, 33, and 5. The Ducks didn't quite have the same offensive output, but Carlsson still scored 13 goals and 37 assists for 50 points through 73 games. He was a +7, had 16 power play points, and was averaging, once again, a low 16.32 of ice time per night. In the postseason, the Ducks lost to the eventual Western Conference champion for the 3rd consecutive year as they bowed out in round number 1, losing in 5 games to the Jets, who went on to win the Cup. Leo Carlsson did not have a good postseason, as through those 5 games, he only registered 1 assist. He was a +1 with 2 minor penalties, no goals on 14 shots through 5 games, while averaging 18-13 of ice time per night, so finally getting the opportunities and just not getting it done in the postseason. At the end of this 4th season in the Ducks organization and 3rd year in the NHL, Carlsson is down to an 87 overall. He was an 89 at the end of the regular season. Now he's an 87, so very difficult postseason. That won't play well in contract negotiations, as his ELC has now expired. Both he and Mason McTavish need new deals, so we'll see how the Ducks deal with that in the offseason for Leo Carlsson, who still has 5-star puck skills and 5-star senses, but that was a tough year. Year number 5, the Ducks had an incredible offseason as Leo Carlsson, now at 22 years of age and 89 overall, signs a 6-year extension with the Ducks, paying him $10.51 million per season, just over $63 million in total. He will be second-line left wing this season, with Jack Eichel centering that second line, Mason McTavish on the right. He's also signed on long-ish term. The team is looking very strong still. Panarin joined the team. On defense, Mintyukov, Drysdale, they're still here. It's only John Gibson who's gone. The rest of the team is still young, strong, and developing well. Leo Carlsson, listed as a first-line forward at 89 overall, is now going to be in the first year of this contract that will eventually bring him to unrestricted free agency. Defense also at 4.5 stars entering this season, and hopefully it should be a big bounce back from having scored only 50 points last year. No Western Conference or Pacific Division Championship in year number 5, but the Ducks do return to the postseason with a 10th place finish, going 48, 32, and 2. Leo Carlsson had a great bounce-back season as he scored 21 goals and a new career-high 52 assists for 73 points through a full 82-game campaign. He was a +1, had 12 penalty minutes, 13 power play points, and was finally averaging more ice time per night at 18.06 per game. In the postseason, the Ducks once again bowed out early as they fell in 6 games in round number 1 to the Sharks, who went on to lose to Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks, who won the 2028 Cup. Leo Carlsson did not look good in the postseason, as through those 6 games, he only registered 3 assists. He was also a -6. He only took 5 shots in 6 games. Very odd. Zeros across the score sheet here. 2 of his 3 points came on the power play, so only 1 even strength point in 6 games. And he was averaging 19:33 of ice time per night. He was getting his ice time. So another tough year in Anaheim. He does maintain his 89 overall status and will carry that into his 5th NHL season. But you got to think, after all these regular seasons, the Ducks will be wanting much better postseason runs. Year number 6, and with Panarin gone, Leo Carlsson has finally found his way onto the top line here in Anaheim for his 5th year with the Ducks. On that top line with Trevor Zegras at center and Troy Terry on the right. Lundstrom, Eichel, and McTavish will be the second line. Leo Carlsson, at 23 years of age, is an 89 overall with first-line forward status. 5-star puck skills and senses, everything else between 3 and 4.5 stars. Leo Buddy, 2028-29, the stage is yours. In year number 6, Carlsson does not see the postseason for the first time in his North American career, as the Ducks finished 21st in the NHL with a record of 39, 36, and 7. And I think I see a big reason why the Ducks missed out, as Leo Carlsson missed almost half the season due to injury. In the 50 games that he did play, he scored 9 goals and 39 assists for 48 points. That would be a 79-point pace, one more than his current career high. So very unfortunate that he missed so much of the season. Even Zegras missing out on a little bit there. But regardless, Carlsson was a +13. Once again, only 2 minor penalties. He's got to win a Lady Byng eventually. 8 power play points and logging an average of 20.09 per night. At the end of year number 6, Carlsson is still an 89 overall and will be hoping for a fully healthy year number 7. The Ducks don't have a ton of years left with this core. They're all going to be wanting big money very soon. Most notably, Zegras only has 1 year left on his contract, so let's hope for a strong offseason headed into 2029-30. Year number 7, and Leo Carlsson is back to centering the second line here in Anaheim, but the good news is that he is up to a 90 overall with 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense. His attributes have never been higher. He's going to have 91 overall Mason McTavish, his good buddy, on his left, and 83 overall Jesper Boqvist on his right. After having what could have been a career year cut short due to injury last season, Leo Carlsson will be hoping for big things in year number 7. In year number 7, the Anaheim Ducks finish atop the NHL to win the first President's Trophy in their franchise's history, doing so here in 2030. 112 points and a record of 53, 23, and 6 to finish atop the NHL. These are the numbers that we want to be seeing from Leo Carlsson, as through 78 games, he ties his career high in goals with 28, sets a new career high in assists with 55, and also sets a new career high in points with 83, 1 point behind Zegras for the team lead. He was a +24, shooting at 14.1%, 13 power play points, all while still averaging a modest 18-16 of ice time per night. In the postseason, the Ducks started off strong as they swept through the Flames in round number 1, took down the Canucks in round number 2, but then in the Western Conference Final were swept out by the eventual Stanley Cup champion Arizona Coyotes. Through Carlsson's 5 postseason berths in 6 NHL seasons, he is now 5 for 5 for losing to the eventual Western Conference or Stanley Cup champion. After a couple of lackluster postseasons, Leo Carlsson really showed up in this one. Through 13 games, he scored 5 goals and 11 assists for 16 points, even plus-minus, 2 minor penalties, 5 power play points, all while averaging 18:31 of ice time per night. It was a great season that saw Leo Carlsson already reach the second Western Conference Final of his career, but still no Stanley Cup Final. He's still at a 90 overall as well, with 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense. We'll see how the Ducks kind of shift in the offseason with Zegras' contract expiring. Will they renew him? Will they turn to Carlsson instead? Let's see what year number 8 has in store. Year number 8, and Leo Carlsson is back to playing first-line left wing with Trevor Zegras, who signed a 6-year extension, and Troy Terry on the right wing. On the second line, McTavish up to a 92 overall. Both he and Terry now will be on expiring deals this season. So Zegras was signed back on, but took a lot of money. We'll see what happens in Anaheim after this year. Carlsson at a 90 overall with all those attributes looking as great as ever. Coming off of a career season that saw him go to another Western Conference Final. 3 more years on his contract. The window for this core here in Anaheim will be closing soon, so fingers crossed for 2030-31. In year number 8, the Anaheim Ducks finish atop the NHL, winning their second President's Trophy in franchise history in as many years, recording 120 points with a record of 57, 19, and 6. Leo Carlsson looking good as he sets new career highs in assists and points by far. In a full 82-game season, he registered 21 goals and 74 assists for a 95-point season. He was a plus 36, 22 penalty minutes, shooting at 11.1%, 25 power play points, and finally some better ice time at 20.39 per night on average. Those 74 assists were also good enough to be a new single-season franchise record for the Ducks. Despite those incredible numbers, the Ducks fell in round number 1 in the postseason in a Western Conference final rematch against the Coyotes, who took them down in 7 games. And for the first time in Carlsson's career, he did not lose to the eventual Western Conference champions, as the Coyotes lost to the Jets, who lost to the Rangers for the 2031 Cup. Through that 7-game series, Carlsson scored 3 goals and 2 assists for 5 points. He was a +2, took 2 minor penalties, and was logging 20.23 of ice time per night. Headed into year number 9, Carlsson is now up to 91 overall, 99 passing, 99 hand-eye, incredible attributes. Hopefully they will be maintained over the offseason, and fingers crossed that the Ducks can do something to get Terry and or McTavish re-signed. Year number 9, and I love this first line for the Ducks, as entering Carlsson's 8th NHL season, he will play left wing on the first line as a 91 overall, with Trevor Zegras at a 93 at center, coming off of an Art Ross and a Hart Trophy, and Mason McTavish on the right. He signed on long term, but there wasn't enough money for Troy Terry, so he walked in unrestricted free agency. Makes sense. Eichel's still here. Luostarinen joined the team. It's not the greatest for depth. That top line is still extremely powerful. The Ducks are coming off back-to-back President's Trophies, and Leo Carlsson has never looked better. 99 passing, 99 hand-eye. Half of his attributes are 5 stars. The other half are between 4 and 4.5. Coming off of a career year, let's hope for more in 2031-32. In year number 9, the Ducks don't win a 3rd consecutive President's Trophy, but they do finish 2nd in the NHL and once again win the Pacific Division with a record of 48, 27, and 7. Leo Carlsson continued his playmaking ways as he played a full 82-game season and scored 19 goals and 70 assists. That works when you have 2 40-plus goal scorers here, my goodness. 89 points from Carlsson, plus 37, 44 penalty minutes, 16 power play points, and logging an average of 20 of ice time per night. Shout out to the defense here in Anaheim as well, as here in 2032, Zellweger scores 61 points, Mintyukov scores 50, Drysdale scores 49, so shout out to the real-life Ducks. Oh, wow. And in the postseason, the Ducks make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but fall to the Bruins. They took down the Canucks in 7, Sharks in 6, Avalanche in 5, getting easier and easier, but then fall in 6 to Boston, losing out on the 2032 Cup. This was the deepest postseason run of Carlsson's career and his first taste of a Stanley Cup final. Through those 24 games, he scored 6 goals and 14 assists for 20 points. He was a +9, had 5 power play points, and averaged 6 seconds shy of 20 minutes per night. Now moving into year number 10, the Ducks will once again see some more off-season changes. Great to see so many real-world Ducks still hanging around: Zegras, McTavish, Drysdale, Mintyukov, but definitely more changes to come as the budget will be getting tight. Speaking of the budget, Carlsson will be headed into the final year of that 6-year extension that he signed, so we'll see if he wants to stick around in Anaheim after that. He's still a 91 overall with all of those lovely attributes. He's scored 80 points or more for 3 consecutive years, so let's head into year number 10 and see if he'll make it 4. Year number 10, and coming off of a Stanley Cup final exit, the Ducks are looking scary headed into the final year of Carlsson's contract. He is a 92 overall, the highest that he's ever been. All those attributes looking ridiculous. Zegras at a 93 and McTavish at a 92 on his line. Eichel at a 90, final year of his deal. The AIGM, I gotta give him credit, doing well to keep this team together. Mintyukov, Drysdale, Zellweger, all still out here. The core of Anaheim, most of these guys still together here in this 10th season. Now the question will be, coming off of 2 President's Trophies in the last 3 years, at least 3 consecutive Pacific Division titles as well, can the Ducks be more than just a good regular season team and go all the way? It all starts here for year number 10. Year number 10, and the Ducks once again finish in 2nd place in the NHL, winning another Pacific Division title, 111 points with a record of 51, 22, and 9. Leo Carlsson scores above 80 points for the 4th consecutive season as he once again plays a fully healthy 82-game season and scores 19 goals and 69 assists for 88 points. Trevor Zegras, by the way, 113. Carlsson was a +50 with 61 penalty minutes, not like him. 9.5 shooting percentage, a bit lower than usual, 20 power play points while averaging 20.29 of ice time per night. Headed into his 8th postseason berth through 9 NHL seasons and coming off of a Stanley Cup final exit, Leo Carlsson and the Ducks got to go all in this postseason. In the postseason, the Ducks made it to their 3rd Western Conference final in the last 4 years, but fell in 7 to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Minnesota Wild. They had taken down the Blackhawks in 6 and swept through the Sharks in 4, but then fell in a heartbreaking Game 7. Through those 17 games, Leo Carlsson scored 5 goals and 10 assists for 15 points. Huge shout out to Zellweger, who scored 22 points in 17 games out of nowhere. Carlsson, though, was a +2, had 3 minor penalties, 2 power play points, and was averaging 21.18 of ice time per night. At the end of this 10th season in North America, Leo Carlsson is at a 92 overall, and he is potentially headed to unrestricted free agency. After 9 seasons in the NHL with Anaheim, he's had a ton of success. He's made it to the Western Conference Final or further 4 times already in his career, so I'm sure that he'd love to stay in Anaheim, despite how the team hasn't quite gotten it done just yet. But as per usual, it'll come down to money, so we'll see where he lands headed into year number 11. Year number 11, Leo Carlsson's 10th NHL season, and he is sticking around in Anaheim as Jack Eichel's retirement and Zellweger going to free agency frees up the money for Anaheim to sign Carlsson to a huge 7-year contract, paying him $15.495 million per season, making over $108 million through 7 seasons. In today's NHL, this would equate to a contract of about $12 million per season, so wild numbers for Leo Carlsson, who will start the season centering the second line with Zegras and McTavish on the first, with now Jimmy Snuggerud joining the team, Camden Nevins on his right, and Valery Kolosov on Carlsson's left. So he's kind of doing it on his own on the second line, but he'll get special teams, and the Ducks are still a very strong team as a whole. 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense headed into his 10th NHL season, and we'll see if he can keep up the impressive pace that he's been on through the first half of his career so far. In year number 11, the Ducks have their lowest finish in quite a while, but still make the postseason comfortably as they finish 8th in the NHL with a record of 48, 29, and 5. A bit of an odd season offensively for the Ducks, as Leo Carlsson did finish 2nd in team scoring, but only with 68 points. Technically the lowest that he's scored since his 50-game season back in year number 6, but for a fully healthy season, his lowest since year number 5. 17 goals and 51 assists for a 68-point season through a full 82 games. Also, after having only played a full 82-game season twice in his first 6 NHL seasons, he's now done it for a 4th consecutive time. On top of the points, he was also a +2 with 12 power play points, and was still not logging a lot of ice time, an average of 18.26 per night. In the postseason, the Ducks once again took down the Canucks in 7 in round number 1, but then fell in 7 in round number 2 to the Sharks. Of course, the team that would go on to win the Western Conference, but lost the cup to the Penguins. The Sharks have Michkov and Matthews, so I guess I'm not surprised, but through those 2 rounds and 14 games played, Carlsson had 2 goals and 9 assists for 11 points. He was a -3, actually had 12 penalty minutes, which is a lot for him through 14 games. Let's see, 1 power play point, and he was averaging 21.53 of ice time per night, possibly the most among all forwards there, I just noticed. Leo Carlsson at the end of year number 11 is down to a 90 overall, not his best season. Still very high attributes, but the physical went down a little bit. The puck skills, not all 99 and 98 anymore. Don't get me wrong, still a premier playmaker, but the Ducks got to make sure that they have the right cast around him, Zegras, McTavish, and everybody else if they're going to ever get beyond just being a good regular season team. Year number 12, and Leo Carlsson finds himself as left wing on the first line here in Anaheim. Mason McTavish centering that first line, and Jimmy Snuggerud on the right. It's tough for Anaheim because they haven't really had any prospects come through the system. It's always been signings, like here's Dylan Holloway who signed on, this guy Peter Pilar signed on, so that's the hard part of being such a good regular season team. But that being said, Leo Carlsson is at a 90 overall to start his 11th NHL season, still 98 passing, 93 offensive awareness, all the makings of a great point per game plus season. So let's hope that his supporting cast can do exactly that to make it another strong year here in Anaheim. In year number 12, for the first time in 6 years and just the second time in Leo Carlsson's career, the Anaheim Ducks miss out on the postseason as they finished 21st in the league. 37, 38, and 7 was their record. I believe this being the first ever team that Leo Carlsson is a part of that is below 500. Wow, but now I see why. Leo Carlsson suffered a season-ending injury just 12 games into the season. After 12 games, he was point per game, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points, but then he broke his leg. keeping him out until July. We're not even close to being there. So the entire season and postseason, even if Anaheim had made it. Through those 12 games, he was a -3 with 3 power play points and was logging over 20 minutes of ice time per night. Super unfortunate that he seemed on pace to get back to 80+ points, but after playing just 12 games, his season was cut short. Leo Carlsson will hopefully fully recover from that broken leg headed into 2035-36. He's still a 90 overall. He still has all of his attributes. Hopefully his overall won't take too much of a hit, if at all, headed into next season, and the Ducks will be very happy to get him back to full health. Year number 13, and Leo Carlsson is back to full health after that broken leg last season. A 90 overall to start 2035-36. All the same attributes that I believe we last saw him having. Carlsson is joined by Mason McTavish and this 5-star shooting sniper Par Havlid on the top line. And after being on a point-per-game pace before his injury last season, let's hope that Carlsson can keep it up headed into year number 13. In year number 13, Carlsson and the Ducks returned to the postseason with a 6th place finish in the NHL with 101 points and a record of 48, 29, and 5. Leo Carlsson didn't set any new career highs, but he got very close and for the first time in his career led his team in points. Another fully healthy 82-game season, and in it he scored 23 goals and 71 assists for 94 points, a +13, 34 penalty minutes, 19 power play points, all while averaging a career high 22 minutes of ice time per night. In the postseason, the Ducks bowed out early in another Game 7 heartbreaker as they did not make it through round number 1. The Kraken took them down before they lost to the Kings, who went on to lose to the 60+ win Sabres, who won the 2036 Cup. Through those 7 games, Carlsson scored 2 goals and 6 assists for 8 points. He was a -3, all while logging 24.02 of ice time per night. Look at that. Meanwhile, Zegras is now playing like 16.5 per night, and he's now 35. He's getting older. Carlsson and McTavish are having to carry this team, and I'm not sure if the supporting cast is as great as it once was. Headed into year number 14, Carlsson is still a 90 overall. He's coming off of the 2nd best statistical season of his career, but another first-round exit. So all we can really do is hope for better luck headed into 2036-37. Year number 14, and Leo Carlsson is centering the top line here in Anaheim at a 92 overall. Great bounce back from being 90 at the end of last season. Havlid on his left, Clayton Keller on his right, Pilar, Zegras, and McTavish down on the second line. The third and fourth lines have some depth now. Good upgrades here in Anaheim. All of the original defensemen are gone, unfortunately, as I believe Minchikov was the last one to go, and goaltending is an 86 overall, Gene Garrison. Just a little update for you. So Carlsson at 92 overall will get to center the top line with 99 passing. He's back to having that attribute at its max, and maybe that'll help him reach a new career high, as last season he missed his career high in points by just 1. So now he has the ice time. He has the attributes, no excuse for year number 14. In year number 14, the Ducks are back on top as they win the Pacific Division and the Western Conference, and they were just 1 point away from the Philadelphia Flyers for the President's Trophy. But nonetheless, a 108-point season with a record of 51, 25, and 6. And if you're as confused as I was when I first opened this up, the Flyers going 51, 24, and 6, which is 81 games over a course of 82 games, means that it must have been one of those classic EA glitches where one of their games counted as a tie. Leo Carlsson did not lead the team in scoring, but we love to see those point-per-game plus seasons. 23 goals and 65 assists for 88 points through a full 82-game season. He was a +10, took 42 penalty minutes, had 17 power play points, and was averaging just 3 seconds over 20 minutes of ice time per night. Same old in the postseason as the Ducks once again faced Game 7 in round number 1. This time they won to move on to round number 2, but of course they would fall to the eventual Western Conference champion. This season once again being the San Jose Sharks, who eliminated Anaheim in 6 games. Through those 13 games, Leo Carlsson scored 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 games. He was a -1 and was averaging 21.16 of ice time per night. After this, year number 14, Carlsson is still a 92 overall at 32 years of age. Lovely attributes, but you have to admit that what makes the Ducks so strong is the supporting cast. Trevor Zegras is 36, his contract is up. McTavish is 34 now. Clayton Keller, who really did a lot this season, he's 38. I don't know how this Ducks team will look headed into year number 15, but you have to be thinking, have all of those great regular seasons been squandered? Year number 15, and Trevor Zegras has indeed moved on, leaving Leo Carlsson and Mason McTavish as the final two original Ducks. Carlsson at a 92 overall is centering the top line with Havlat on his left and Tyler Boucher on his right. 84 and 85 overall respectively. On the second line, not Mark Stone, it's Mike Stone. McTavish centering that second line. And on defense, new big name, Leonard Fitzgerald, 89 overall offensive defenseman. So hopefully that little boost will help the Ducks, but you gotta think with Zegras gone, it's going to be a big learning curve. Carlsson at 32 years of age is still a 92 overall. That 99 passing is still there. And if he wasn't carrying the team already, he will certainly have to do so here in 2037-38. In year number 15, the Ducks continue their postseason streak as they once again make it back to the dance, finishing 13th in the NHL with 91 points and a record of 44, 35, and 3. Leo Carlsson set a new career high in points as he once again played in a full 82-game season, and in those 82 games, he scored 27 goals and 72 assists for 99 points. He was a plus 24, added 18 power play points, and was averaging 21 of ice time per night. If you're rooting for Carlsson and the Ducks, cross those fingers for the postseason. But in the postseason, the Ducks once again bowed out early as they fell in 6 games in round number 1 to the Jets, who went on to lose to the almighty Sharks, who won the 2038 Cup. Through that first round, Carlsson scored 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points in 6 games. He was a -3 and was averaging 22-21 of ice time per night. Headed into year number 16, Carlsson will have 2 years left on his contract. McTavish's contract is up, so we'll see if Carlsson will be the final remaining original Duck. He's still a 92 overall. He just had a career year. At 33 years of age, he still wants to be pushing for cups. But you got to be thinking, after another early postseason exit, Ducks management may be looking to move in another direction headed into year number 16. Year number 16, and headed into Leo Carlsson's 15th NHL season. He is indeed the final original Duck that started here when he broke onto the scene in the NHL. Here in 2038-39, he is the last man standing. Presumably the captain of the Ducks now at 33 years of age. He is a 92 overall, centering the top line here in Anaheim. Still the 99 passing and 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense. Coming off of the best season of his career, but another first-round exit. Does this team have the depth to get it done? I'm not sure. Otto Stenberg will play on Carlsson's left, a fellow 2023 draftee, and Mike Stone on his right at 81 overall. I can't say that this team makes me hopeful, but Carlsson has only missed the postseason twice in his career so far, so let's see if he can drag his team to the dance once again. Somehow, someway, the Anaheim Ducks make it back to the postseason in year number 16, finishing 13th best in the NHL with a record of 42, 33, and 7. Leo Carlsson still going point per game as he scores 82 in 82 and also registers a new career high in goals with 32. Add in 50 assists and you get 82 points. He was an even plus minus. He took 56 penalty minutes, getting a bit violent in his older age here, shooting at 15.4%, 21 power play points while averaging a career high 22.47 of ice time per night. I wasn't kidding when I said that Carlsson was going to have to drag this team. And in the postseason, it does not get more dramatic than this, as the Ducks took down the Kraken in 5 games in round number 1. In round number 2, they were down 3-1 against the Canucks, but marched back and won that series in 7. In round number 3, the Western Conference Final, they took down the Blackhawks in 6, and now here they are against the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. For just the second time in Leo Carlsson's career, they were up 3-1. The Panthers now have marched back. They forced a Game 7. Cross those fingers and toes for Game 7. Yes, and in the postseason, Leo Carlsson and the Anaheim Ducks do it. They are 2039 Stanley Cup champions. In his 13th postseason berth in his 15th NHL season, Leo Carlsson leads his team to the 2nd Stanley Cup in Anaheim Ducks history. Over 30 years later, and the Stanley Cup is back in Anaheim. Leo Carlsson was a huge piece of the puzzle as he scored 7 goals and 14 assists for 21 points through 25 games. He was a +7, took 27 penalty minutes. What? Through 25 games. 3 of his 7 goals were game winners. That's huge. And he was logging an average of 23.19 of ice time per night. The guy at the top here, Louis Coulombe, who scored 14 goals and 25 points, won the Conn Smythe. But we all know that the likely captain, Leo Carlsson, was instrumental. So sad that Carlsson could not share this championship with McTavish, Zegras, Mintyukov, Drysdale, all the other players that had been here for so long. At the end of year number 16, Leo Carlsson is a Stanley Cup champion and still a 92 overall at 34 years of age. Ridiculous attributes for this age. And he will be headed into the final year of that huge $100+ million contract that he signed. Honestly, it's all gravy from here, so we'll see what the Ducks do in their championship offseason. Year number 17, and Leo Carlsson is still a 91 overall, centering the top line here in Anaheim at 34 years of age. A sniper on his left, Blake Danner, and a sniper on his right, Gustavo Crawford. The Ducks did sign possibly the future Carlsson replacement, Jace Apostolopoulos. So maybe this is the year where Carlsson is training his future heir. But as a playmaker with two snipers on his line, this could be another great offensive output season. And that's especially important to Carlsson with it being a contract year in the final year of that big $100+ million contract that he signed. He still has the 99 passing, 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense. So after dragging his team to a Stanley Cup last year, let's see what the old man still got in the tank. The Ducks just continue to impress, as in year number 17, they finished 10th best in the NHL with a record of 46, 31, and 5. Leo Carlsson was on a career best pace, but for just the second time in the last 10 years, lost games due to injury. He played in 71 out of 82 and scored 27 goals and 70 assists for 97 points, 2 points shy of his career best. He was a plus 30 with 14 power play points while averaging 22-27 of ice time per night, the second highest average ice time of his career at 35 years of age. This man is an animal, and he wants back-to-back cups. Unfortunately, in the postseason, the Ducks fell in 5 games in round number 1 to the LA Kings, who would go on to lose to the Coyotes, who lost to the Penguins for the 2040 Cup. Through those 5 games, Carlsson scored 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points. 1 minor penalty. His 1 goal was a game winner on the power play, and he was averaging 23-41 of ice time per night. At 35 years of age, Carlsson, technically he's never been better. Although his overall's down to 89 and his potential is exact top 6, he's still got the 5-star puck skills, senses, and defense. And his shooting's up to 4.5 to compensate for his skating and physical going down to 3.5, so there's definitely that. But he is without a contract, potentially headed to unrestricted free agency. He'll definitely be wanting a lot of money, but he's worth it for the Ducks. Can he find a deal with Anaheim to retire as a lifer, or will he move elsewhere for the final years of his career? Year number 18, and Leo Carlsson is signed back on for at least 1 more year here in Anaheim. $9.215 million to keep him here for 1 more season at the very least. He saw the numbers that he put up last year and said, hey, let's run it back. He's still got 5-star puck skills and senses, but of course, as age comes, everything else will start to go down a little bit. Shooting and defense still at 4.5 stars. Carlsson is an 89 overall, listed as a first-line forward, but centering the second line, as he has now swapped spots with Apostolopoulos. Ed Corvo, 86 overall, power forward with 5-star shooting, okay, on his left. And this guy, Tucker Tonge, who's been in the organization for a while, on his right. It's his 17th season in the NHL with the Ducks, so let's see if Leo Carlsson can get back to the postseason once again. No surprise as the Ducks return to the postseason in year number 18 with a 7th place finish in the NHL, going 49, 29, and 4. Leo Carlsson had a great season, but for the first time in 7 years did not go point per game plus. He played a fully healthy 82 games, but only scored 18 goals and 54 assists. I say only, for a 72-point season. He was a plus 18, had 11 power play points, and was averaging a much lower 17.33 of ice time per night. And in the postseason, the Anaheim Ducks march their way back to another Stanley Cup final and win their 2nd Stanley Cup with Leo Carlsson, beating the Sharks in 5, the Kings in 6, the Stars in 5, and then the Bruins in 6 to capture the 2041 Stanley Cup. Through those 22 games to Leo Carlsson's second Stanley Cup, he had 25 points, tying Apostolopoulos for the team lead. 5 goals and 20 assists from the now 36-year-old Swede. 25 points, a plus 12, just 3 power play points while averaging 18:34 of ice time per night. With like 6 less minutes than Apostolopoulos per night, he scores the same amount of points, is a plus 2 higher, and wins the Conn Smythe Trophy for the first piece of hardware in his career. I suppose he won an award in the AHL, but come on now, Conn Smythe doesn't compare. Leo Carlsson, now at 36 years of age, is down to an 88 overall. He has 2 Stanley Cup rings. He's still listed as a first-line forward. He still has 5-star puck skills and senses. He's coming off of a 72-point season. He is definitely still worth a pretty penny. But the question is, after signing a 1-year deal and winning a Stanley Cup with Anaheim, his second with the Ducks, does he consider retirement? Honestly, at this point in franchise mode, Carlsson could retire right now or play for like 5 more seasons. So let's see what the 2041 offseason has in store. No retirement from Carlsson in 2041, but a special shout out to Zegras and McTavish as they both decide to hang up the skates. In year number 19, after 17 seasons in Anaheim and 18 years in the Ducks organization, Leo Carlsson goes to free agency and signs a 2-year deal with the Buffalo Sabres. He says, listen, I've won my 2 Stanley Cups, my Conn Smythe. You don't have enough room for me anymore. I just want to get paid and enjoy the last couple years of my career. He's going to get paid $9.06 million per year for 2 seasons. At 36 years of age, he's an 84 overall, listed as a second-line forward, still has top 6 potential, and the 5-star puck skills. Everything else slowly going down, 2.5-star physical, but it's a good team here in Buffalo. He's centering the first line. That's what he wanted to do. In Anaheim, he'd likely be a second liner. He has this guy Manny Weiss, a 90 overall playmaker, on his left, and Logan Connor, an 86 overall 5-star shooting sniper, on his right. So you know what? It may be a strong offensive output season yet. Fellow 2023 draftee Zach Benson is still here in Buffalo. So all right, Leo Carlsson, year number 19, his first year outside of Anaheim. Let's see how he does. Whoa, in year number 19, the Buffalo Sabres finished dead last in the NHL, 32nd place with a record of 30, 41, and 11. By far the worst regular season that Carlsson has ever been a part of. Crazy to think that through 18 NHL seasons, this was just the 3rd time that Carlsson missed out on the playoffs. But you know what? At the end of the day, I still don't think he's too worried. He got his cups. He's making his money. He wanted to get ice time. That's what he's getting here in Buffalo. In a full 82-game season, he scored 18 goals and 45 assists for 63 points. Still not too bad at all. He was a negative 15, yeah. 13 power play points while averaging 20/16 of ice time per night. At 37 years of age, Carlsson has a huge dip in overall after that lackluster season. He's now down to an 83. Still maintaining the 5-star puck skills, but everything else between 2.5 and 4 stars. He has 1 year left on his contract that he signed, but I don't know, maybe he wants to dip after this season. We'll see what the 2042 offseason has in store. And in the 2042 offseason, Leo Carlsson does indeed call it a career at 37 years of age. He was still an 85 overall. He bounced back a little bit. Definitely still able to get it done and signed on for 1 more year. But he said, listen, I've had enough of my time here in Buffalo. And you would think that he would surely be going back home to play another few years in the SHL. Let's start breaking it all down now, ladies and gentlemen. Through 19 years in North America and 18 NHL seasons, Leo Carlsson played 1,345 games, scoring 370 goals and 968 assists for a total of 1,338 points, 7 points shy of going point per game in his career. Through those 18 NHL seasons, Leo Carlsson ends as a plus 278. He ends with 537 penalty minutes as well. Definitely not something that he was known for doing. He took 3,073 shots on net, shooting at an even 12%. 59 of his 370 goals were game winners. 64 of them came on the power play. 271 of his 1,338 points were on the power play as well. 6 shorthanded goals, 19 shorthanded points, and a total time on ice per game career average of 19:34 per night, as high as 22:47 and as low as 16:08. Carlsson played over 26,300 minutes in the NHL. As a centerman, he took a lot of faceoffs. He had a few years on the wing, but he took over 21,900 faceoffs and won 11,872 for a career faceoff percentage of 54.19. He threw 1,798 hits, blocking only 262 shots, 743 giveaways to 1,485 takeaways. One takeaway away from a perfect 1-to-2 ratio. I'm surprised he never got a Selke trophy. You would think that he had to have some votes out there. In the postseason, Leo Carlsson was a staple, playing in 189 postseason games. Through his 15 postseason berths over 18 seasons, he scored 45 goals and 119 assists for 164 points. As we know, 2 Stanley Cups and 1 Conn Smythe. He was a +19, took 119 penalty minutes, 425 shots, shooting at 10.6%. 8 of his 45 goals were game winners, 4 came on the power play, 27 of his 119 points were on the power play, 2 shorthanded goals, 3 shorthanded points, average ice time of 2019 per game, slightly higher than his regular season numbers, 3,840 minutes played, and he was 53.95 on the faceoff dot, as very similar to his regular season numbers as well. 286 hits, 38 blocked shots, 119 giveaways to 231 takeaways. As per usual, it's impossible to know where Leo Carlsson would place in history when we're thinking about the year 2042, but if we were to compare these numbers to the real-world NHL record books as of today, his 1,345 games played would place him 57th all-time, ahead of Adam Oates and behind Matt Sundin. He wasn't a huge goal scorer. His 370 goals would tie him for 135th all-time with Tim Kerr. But we know that he was a playmaker, as his 968 assists would put him 14th all-time, ahead of Doug Gilmour and behind Joe Sakic. And finally, Leo Carlsson's 1,338 points would put him somewhere around 30th all-time, tying him with Dave Anderchuk and Denis Savard. The one place where we can look into the future a little bit would be in the record book, looking here in 2042 at the Anaheim Ducks franchise records, most of them held by Zegras, even McTavish, but Leo Carlsson's 869 assists are the most all-time. Had he played one more season in Anaheim, he would have set a new franchise record for most seasons played, as he tied that record with Getzlaf, playing 17 seasons, but he likely would have been the sole holder of most games played, passing McTavish's 1,300, but most assists as a Duck all-time, I'm sure that he could sleep well with that. Single season records, most assists in a season, doing so in 2030 when he scored 74 assists, no rookie records, and no single game records. And thus concludes the career of Leo Carlsson, ladies and gentlemen, spanning 19 years in North America, 18 NHL seasons, breaking it all down on your screen right here. It started off with 1 year in the AHL, through 72 games with the San Diego Gulls. He scored 62 points and ended up winning the Rookie of the Year award before jumping to the NHL, and in 1,263 games with the Anaheim Ducks over 17 seasons, he scored 352 goals, a franchise record 923 assists, and 1,275 points, going above a point per game during his time in Anaheim. Most of these numbers would be franchise records were it not for the careers of Zegras and McTavish. In the postseason with the Ducks, he played 189 postseason games, scoring 45 goals and 119 assists for 164 points. He made the postseason in 15 out of 17 years with Anaheim, only missing out on the postseason twice with the Ducks, and both of those times was when he played 50 games or less. So if he was healthy, he was making the postseason with Anaheim. After falling short in 12 consecutive postseasons, Carlsson won 2 Stanley Cups in his final 3 attempts, including the Conn Smythe Trophy in his final year in Anaheim. It was a great send-off for the presumed Ducks captain, who then, after his 2 cups, his Conn Smythe, and all the records in Anaheim, decided to say, you know what, I still want to play first line, I'm going to make a little bit of money, I'm going to sign a 2-year deal in Buffalo. He ends up only playing 1 season, and he said, I'm out of here, after Buffalo finished dead last in the NHL. But through those 82 games in his 18th NHL season, he scored 18 goals and 45 assists for 63 points, bringing his career totals to 1,345 games played, 370 goals, 968 assists, and 1,338 points. Over an 82 game career average, that would average out to about 23 goals and 59 assists per 82 games. Technically, he was 7 points away from being an exact point per game player in his career, but when you round up, you get to 82 in 82 on average. More often than not, he was registering above those 59 assists. He was getting 70 plus on multiple occasions as well. It's too bad that he never won any other individual awards, as I'm sure he could have won a Selke somewhere in there, as he had over 1,400 takeaways to about 700 giveaways in his career. He had a handful of seasons among the top 5, top 10 in scoring as well. But you know what? 2 Stanley Cup rings, a Conn Smythe, AHL Rookie of the Year, and over $192 million as he heads back to Sweden. Still at an 85 overall, 37 years of age. I'm sure he is very content with his career. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the career of Leo Carlsson according to NHL 23 franchise mode. Let me know in a comment down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server, what parts do you think were realistic? Could he be this strong of a playmaker? What parts were really crazy far-fetched? But really, at the end of the day, I think what was most impressive to me about this simulation is the consistent regular season success of the team that Carlsson was on. Usually when we're following a team, it'll be up and down, rebuild, get some drafted prospects, but no, the Ducks really relied on their current core, McTavish, Zegras, Mintyukov, Drysdale. Very little star support from anyone who's not currently on the Ducks in 2023. So if this is a sign of things to come, I'm sure that Ducks fans will be very happy. If you enjoyed the simulation, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments which career you want to see simulated next. With NHL 24 coming soon, we'll be getting into those very shortly, so be sure to subscribe not to miss out on any of that content, as well as our NHL 23 franchise mode, and a lot more going on in the channel. So if you enjoyed this, I'm sure you'd enjoy everything else. So take a second, check it out, and we would love to have you join the team as we close in on 7,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for taking time to watch, and I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts about the simulation and seeing you again in the next one.